by Omet Tov Lamed Vo. That comes here to Ali. I think we just started the Maimah. We'll start again with the Psichas HaMaimah, the Dibur HaMaskal. Thanks, Hashem. Just another time, try and be more punctual if you can. Thank you. Okay. Thanks. I don't know whether that's right or not. Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
All right. B'siyata d'shmaya Shabbos Pasha Noyach Tov Reish Ayin Dalet. And so it's written after the Mabul, after the Yitzia Min HaTeva, Noyach v'Chulu, and all the Chayas Yochim Min HaTeva. So then it's written that Noyach took from the Behemoths Tohirois, from those that he'd taken Sheva Mikol Min B'toich HaTeva, and he offered up korbanos to the Eibishter from there. As she brings over there that Oma Beliboy, that Lama Tziva Kodesh Baruch Hu Kachas Mi Elo Haminim Shiva Ein Ze Ela Hakriv korbanos. And so he offered up korbanos li'achrei the Yitzia min HaMabul. And we see that there was some special zguladik in these korbanos, because even al derech poshet b'yisa, it's written vayorach Hashem es reach hanichoyet, that the Eibishter literally smelt the sweet odor or savor or whatever you like to say, that came from those korbanos. And then he came to the conclusion, there was Kavioho, Oiler Beretzeine Lefonov, that that there will never be another Indian like the Indian Amabo. So later there was a Krisis Bliss out there, but that was the Indian what do we call it, the Keshes, the Indian Keshes was a Krisis Bliss of that Achlota with the Bohiroilo. Aber die etzem Aliyah Lefonov Yisborach Beretzeine She'yeh Dorach Kazeh Kaviochu Yeh Hachlota Kazu, well, that was a direct Toitzoa Min in a korbanos Aidu. So we see that even al derech hapshat, there's a very important history in the etzem korban, and the pool and the Toitzoa from them is tremendously significant to the whole hemshech of the sipur of the Mabul. The kilu keteitzah from the offering of the korbanos, there's a hachlata l'mayla that there'll never be another Indian of lekal as a oilam. Beis tzura shati among it. That's mashma that there was some Indian miyuchad in the korbanos, and so therefore the Torah stresses that what the Eibishter saw be'ikah in the korbanos was the Inyan HaReyach. Vayorach Hashem es Reyach HaNikoyach. It's not, Mudgas that he saw that the behemoths were offered up and that they became a even Eishu Alam is Be'iyach v'chuli the Ikah Vayorach Havaya es Reyach HaNikoyach. So, and that immediately was poil. Will never be as I'm in Inish or as I'm in Matzav that the Eibishter would be Makalas Klolas Oilam. Afila be Bederach Inish v'chulu. So we have to understand what is the toichen of those korbanos. Ki afilu Bederach Hapshat, they are the key to the whole Indian of what was prior to the Mabul, and to the whole, what you might call, attitude, kaviocho, milmayla lamata, to the olam, li'achrei hamabu. It's all kilo hinges and stems around the Indian of those korbanim. V'isha b'medrash rabbah, hiriach reach shel Avram Avinu oile mikif shanoi. What did the Eibishter smell? Vayorach Hashem es Reyach hanichoyach was his reach hanichoyach in Pashtas goes on the reach of the korbanos that were offered. Noach taka offered korbanos. He took from the shore a sugei behemoth atohiris from the mispah of shiva shekol echad, and he offered korban, as I state in the passage. So it says the Medrash. What does it mean? The Eibush to smelt the reach? Yeah, lav davke that the korban is on the reach of those korbanos. No, the reach is on the reach of Avraham Avinu when he's coming out of the kibshano. That he's been somewhat scorched, you might say, in the kibshano age. If there's a certain reach is coming from Avraham Avinu as he's coming, triumphantly, as one might say, out of the kibshano age. Well, that's what the Eibush was. Maria. Shiriach, Reichoi, or Reach shel Chananya Mishoel Via, Azadia, Oila Mekibshanoi. The Eibush was also Mariach, the Reach of the three great Chaverim of Daniel, Chananya Mishoel Vazadia, Bisman Nebuchadnezzar, that they refused to bow down to the Avodah Zarah. To the pestle or whatever it was that Nebuchadnezzar Hakim was because Dura, that people should bow down to it. But even though Tosafos brings out there, and there's a whole pilpul in Rishonim in the Gemara that it wasn't really Emes Avodah Zarah. It wasn't, and it wasn't the Kavanah in mitzad the etzem hakomas hapesel to cause people to be bottled to that particular Avodah Zarah. Now the Melech wanted that people should show their bittul to him. They would be kilo the shtachavua. So that was like a simon of your kabbalas amal. In other words, you bow to that, the sign that you were be'emes bottled, you were makabo malchus does. And so the Chananya Mishoel Vazadia, they refused to bow down. Afopi sheulai hayav efshe Beis yuter lahatir and kama v'kama mipnei Yisrael yitiru le'atro. And be'emes ishtachavu lezeh v'heim eim siru. And Daniel at that particular time wasn't there. Or he was on the way somewhere on a shlichus. Who boys yarega lo hayah sham. It fell to the Indian of Chananya Mishoel Vazadia, and the Gemara brings out a famous thing, and it's also brought in the Zohar Chodesh is brought, that they learned a Kalvachema from the Tzfadim, from the frogs, the rest of the mouse. The frogs, that they went even into the Tanurim. So when they went into the Tanurim, they went Yisrofim Beis. In other words, the frogs went on Mesiras. I mean, their Indian was Lahachikas Pare, and they went a fill of Mesiras Nefesh, a fill between Tanurim. Avi always filled the rotten of the Eibush to Labdavke, that the Eibush wanted them to for Brenzach in the Tanurim. And my mother state in the Gemara that Chananya Mishoel Vazadia learned a Kawachema from the Tzfadim, that if they went in the Zamim Mesiras Nefesh, they weren't really Mechuyev B'Dora. אף אחד לא טבע מהצפרדיים שהיו בתורי אף ובכן הם הצנדבו בחרו בזה ללכת בתורי האש. אז גם חנן state in the serving there. There's a whole Indian they learned from the Tzfadim. You come to us that these frogs were really very special gehuven of frogs. The frogs were something given in the B'shas Marasat Tzfadim. And dort in the Zeh, the Lashon is very interesting that they, in the Gemara study, they learned the Kalvachimas. They can do it, that's come we humans should do it. I mean, in the Zeh state, without a Kalvachim, if I'm not mistaken. They just learned to be etched from the frogs, from the Tzfadim, the Indian from Mesiras Nefesh. Al Chopanim, Mizeh Nimta, that Chananya Mishoel Vazadia, that was a very high and delicate Indian of Dafkir being shoylel, the whole Indian of the Shaykhs of Ayin to Avodah Zarah, even though Haya Efshel Hatir Zeh, V'lo ya Kavona Shaloi Haya Mamish Lahavid Otam Avodah Zarah, ma'afu pikein, they went Dafki B'tei Ha'esh. Amamir, the Eibishter smelled the Reach of Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah coming from the Kivshon, they're coming out at a Kivshon Ha'esh. Amamir, we see that according to the Medrash, the Eibishter didn't really smell the smell of the Korbanos per se. He smelled in those Korbanos, Ayin, Naila, Noisaf, but that was the Iker that he found in the Korbanos, Chutz me'etzem ha'arech b'derech ha'pashtas, Kil Shalehem. Amamira, Tzadik La'ovin, says the Rabbi, Ma'hu inyan sheriach reach shel Avraham Avinu, v'chananu m'shari v'azadye, v'alidei zeh davke omar lo yoishiv hui. I'll never be makal the Adoma Kamoi Adkoi. V'haloi, al pi poshod, reach ha'nechoyach hu reach ha'korbanos. Shehikrim, no, שזה גם כן עניין גבוה וניילה. אפילו the Korbanos מצד עצמם are a very big עניין. וכמובן, in ספרים, so it's called in them עניין, that כאילו Noah began the whole עניין of the עצם פעולה that Korbanos are able to achieve, what that's the עניין of Rosa the Korbanos, the secret, the seed of the Korban, which is the Shreifas HaBahim, or Gabi Eidi, and the Elias HaNefesh HaBahamis, and the Koyach HaBahimi, and the Indian from Klippus Negev, with the Ivas Heter, with the concept. Arichas. That's a tremendously profound Indian, but it's also Oila Ad Rosa Dain Say. Gemara says that the Korbanos Mitzad Atzmom have the ability to reach the Indian from Ayin Say. What Ayin Say actually here is a oil which is a mile we get a restaushel. We must understand exactly what is the kavanah bezeh. Of upon him, it's a doroshel a mile medida vakbola. As him kain omer Rabbi Ma Moisif o mechadish zeh shehiriach reiche shel Avraham Avinu olav shalem. Amamel said to Rabbi, there's a in here from a chidush kilo. What is he mechadish? To pull loy oisif oit lekalel, it would have been enough. Mitzad pashtas saying and as it must be in the pshat. The etzem reich the Korbanos mitzad inen a Korbanos atzma mitzad etzem avedus a Korbanos al derech atzma. Or that enough? That's enough to reach Rosa the Ein Seif. Rosa the Ein Seif is a Urshel. Mailam Hagbolas Oilamas. That could have been Mamshich, as I mean, Kaviocho, as I mean, undertaking, as a Shavua from the Eivishter, that there wouldn't be any more Inyonim Kemoya Mabel Keila. What is the whole Inyan of the Medrash being Mechadi, this whole Inyan of Chananium, of Avraham Avinu, Bereshis Inyan, and afterwards followed up by Chananium Mishova, the Azadiah. So we have to say that there's a certain chiddush in that inyan, which the chiddush is nageya in the whole understanding of Noach, what did he really attend, what was he really attempting. So Lafisa comes to us that he wasn't really attempting just a inyan from Korban. Einochanami, there was a Korban, and there would be later the inyan from Korbanos. Behemshech, the whole Mercedes are always, and everything connected with the Shvatim and all, obviously, even from Hakomas Amishkan, that there would be any from Korban, but there was something in this Korban that Noach did. He had a Kavanah Bezeh, Be'ikeh to be poil this Indian of Reach. Not so much the other Inyanim which we've already met, which in Korban, what's Indian from Lachmi, Lishai, we'll soon see in a minute, we'll go over those Inyanim again briefly. Noach was aiming in his whole Kavanah, big Korbanos Eilu was a inyan miyuchat the reach, and therefore vayorach havayas reach and the ike reaction kaviyach Maila, the Kabbalah are called mitzad the Eibishter mitzad no Maila was the inyan of the dafke in a reach. So therefore the Medrash says if the inyan was dafke in a reach, and that's killed the whole inyan what was poil the shinoya Achlota, then maybe there's some meaning here that it means a reach miyuchat, not just the inyan from Korban al derech harov. Ayin Noach wanted to be poil, and he wanted to be megala a new inyan dafke b'reach. So that was the Medrash of Mechadish, the senior from Avraham Avinu and Hananiah, Mishael, Azaria. So I mean, even before we get into the Befnim, Adamaima, if you misbrain Bezaf Aregya, what's the whole Indian from Avraham Avinu with the Kibshin Oish, and the same for that matter with Hananiah, Mishael, Azaria? But the whole Indian is the overcoming of a koyach hamanagi. Not just the Indian from an Avedas, Hashem, Fikul b'Mesiras Nefesh, which means Lamayla me'ar koyachas ha'regilim. No, it means the Indian from an Itzua kilo ala adova hamanagi. Avraham Avinu was faced with this unbelievable Indian of V'yotek Eisendot, Nimrod, with the ganze koyach hanigud to the Indian from Giloi Shitose, Giloi Inyoni, which is the Indian from Giloi Elakus Beklau, Vavaya Echot Befrat, and the whole Indian from Amunas, Elakus Be'amiti Sinin, Matthias Saboire, Vachulu, and there was this Koyach Hamanagi Massivi in the world, which was working massively against it from the moment he appeared in the world. He was in underground for I don't know how many years, and that lady was in prison with money, and then it finalizes with this whole casting him into the Kivshin or Oish. So we see that it was a koyach chorif b'yesa of his snagdas and his seiders levatel et kol shitosim, kol inyona. And the same with Hananiah, Mishael, Azaria, the whole Indian from Nebuchadnezzar, the whole Indian from the Malchei Bovel, Bechlal, Sancheder with the Soberinian. Yeah, he was the one who said, Domani, he was the one who said, Adamel Elyoin, I'm the one, I'm right there, the boss of the world. But again, their whole Indian was to be Mavatil, the Musig of the Beetle Hanivroim to Avaya Echot. No, they saw themselves to be like Koiches Elyonim. That they had the Shlita ala Oilon. Yeah, well, that's Ayin and Shitov, even Neura. That's one of the Yesaidas, Amitim, from Avedas Zorah. But the Rambam brings at the beginning of in the Ganzarichas, in the Mishnah Torah. Oh my God. Do we see here a kilo, a nigud, a snagdas to the Oin, what didn't represent Oin, what the Beis Hamikdash represented? Because, he was later the one that was to bring the Koyachas to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, Rachmanin and Tlamat. We see here, and here's these three, sort of, what you might call, almost helpless individuals, but they just stood with Mitatoikir, and they were Megala to the whole world as Sanishvia. Even though in number and in court they didn't really alter the situation, Beis Azman. But Pnimis Adova Miyuter was a Mishanik. And so the same thing we find when we get to Yud Beis Tammuz, we find when we get to the Friedrich Rebbe with the whole union, the communism, and the government said too is that it took many years after to be Mishkala was, what really happened, Beis Hazman. Over that Mesiras Nefesh and that Halicha Ba'ish on the part of the Hananiah, Mishael, Azaria, and the Avraham Avinu, what he was called Kula, V'toichei, the Friedrich Rebbe. That was against the Koyach Otsu in its kamas and its eiches and its shichlu. But Beis Hazman, it was almost like an impossible task to even imagine that it would ever fall, or you could ever be pogea by. I mean, at that particular time, it was, even that everybody thought, on the contrary, everybody was shuckling with pachad, it's going to take over the whole world. That was the Dova Hanira le'enebosa Beis Hazman, and after it became, they themselves were mishtadl b'kol koichem to send the Rebbe out with the whole deal that we find, the whole deal niflo was given, and li'achri Zman, es gewinnt sehr also by even niflo. And we see that there's a koyach that what the Medrash wants to be maramis is that Noach already understood, and he already saw that the way to cause the emisakiyum of the world, that now the world was in a zarif and that it's in the hands of men. Up until now, the Eivisher was looking after the whole show, and he sort of Makta Balagan, he said, what do I need it for? and not starting all over again. It's all in your hands, as it were. And Noach had megala given that it's in the hands of the humans, ad kedikach, that it's going to need, b'meshech hatoides, a koyach of what you might call nigud, a koyach of nitzuach, and what we call in Basil Agane, the inyan for koyach hanitzoch and the koyach haneta, to overcome the opposing force. It's going to be very powerful, and it's going to need kol hazman new ischachis, and until the Rebbe said ad masa. How much more do we need to be mechadish the koiches neged the koiches ha'elu, and how much more do we still need the inyan an nitzoch? Daiva hoisa b'mesha hoya ad koi. That's what we have to say. That ad masay omen kein yehirotzen kwa hayo daiva hoisa. Oh, company. We see that the leak of Saman sword in the Midrash, Mamish, in a way that jumps into the eyes. The Midrash lamp claws. I mean, Mahalach in the Lashon of the person. I said, Rabbi, we need to understand. Was it that in him? Yes. What does the Midrash want Dafki in that korban for Noach to be Megala, this whole idea of a new type of inyan in what the Abisha saw in that korban, not the sort of korban so much, but the inyan from the reach, what I can say, and that inyan from reach, even that comes b'derech Mesiras Nefesh, a reach, what came in the form of a shlilas v'nitzucha ishel managi, pile. We need to understand. Ulachovin said, Yesh lahaktim, mashen is bully you. Yeah, I have fresh. Beina korbanis liktoid. But this wasn't in the last oisias that we just learned previously, but it was in earlier us in the previous minor. It was albeit in the previous drusha. It wasn't in the last oisias. It was in the Klolos HaMaima. The difference we learned between the korbanis and the Avodas HaKtorah. The korbanis hein beginners lechem. Their inyan was achila and lechem, and we saw that was a inyan beika nimshach or even shel oil pnimi. But when you eat, you take a inyan latech hakuf, and it becomes damu basa kipsore with the whole reach. A commission kasav es korbani lachmi leishoy. It was the inyan from Eish, but it was connected with lachmi. The Eish to call it his lechem. What that defines that the Ike Pnimius Ayin or the Ike Yesod, but the Korbanos was lechem. Akamaya lechem, shemamshich chayes hanefesh o mechabrei im haguf, shemischaskim keichoisov alideze. We see that the inyan of the lechem is in zwei inyanim. First of all, it's mamshich chayes. And that Amshocha is Be'ika Achizu. In other words, we could say that the Pshat is that the inyan from Lechem is Li'achri, what you already have chayes. You're already, as it were, there. And you're, to a certain extent, you're there, V'derech HaRogim. No, is it then? We see that, you, every now and then, you, as it were, run out of fuel. You tend to die down, as you might say. You tend to become cholish libay, and therefore you need to make a new intake. Yes, like the whole in of a machine after it runs out to a certain point, then it has to have a new feed-in, a new scholars of a koya, which will be malhiv the eish or inyan further. So the same thing. So the inyan of the korbanis, what they're mamshich chayes, it indicates that they're megaleh chayes. Without them, ain't chayes klar. Now they're mechadish adova, which has already been mechudish mikore. It's already been there, and it's already been galas, but it's for chalishas. In other words, that the Eivishter made it as I say that le'achris man mesuyam, or the type of chiddush that the previous achila was goydem. That's lost its power, or it's been, as it were, kola, hamshachos of a kola, yet Saman Hogma, a new chiddush badora. That's a chiddush. But what we can call it is Chiddush HaYeshonis, almost we might call it. Yeah, the Chiddush of the old things, or the Chiddush of the Balavokim, the Matzav Klori. And so therefore said the Rebbe, Ukamaima, like the Gemara says, Ad lo yachilna chulu, lo yitzlila, or lo yitzlila datoi. But that's a Gemara in Bava Kama, where it stated Rab Nachman. They came and asked him a shaila in the afternoon, and he gave his opinion, gesagt. And then later he saw that he wasn't mechaven, Ayin, when did he wake up to that? After he'd eaten, he was known to eat a bit of flesh. But there are upon him in the evenings he would eat a bit of flesh. And then so he went to these people and he looked up where they were and he said, I want to be matakin, I want to say again what I said, ki ad lo yachilna bisur tetera lo yitzlilna datoy, until I've eaten the basa shoyer, in other words, mamish, that he called beef flesh, emerson flesh, snitched down. And this in the Moisachel, not Shabbos Davkir, Phil be Moisachel. He said, Adelo Yachilna lo yitzlila datoi, Pirush Adova, lo nit a pshati chomish kandas. And when I've eaten the bisur of the Torah, do I get das? Lo yitzlila datoi. In other words, the das was there. But he even said an opinion. He gave them a psak, or he gave them a hoiroa. Mesuyamos Lafi, how he was Beis man. But he said, well, it's little that I wasn't clear, the ganze Klokheit, how it should be. He said, oh, now that I've eaten that little bit of flesh, it's going to hold with the ganze Klokheit. So, I mean, ulai ish l'ramas b'seh, the goitel ha'aflor b'seh, the b'terach klal, when a man eats bisur that it's a heavy sort of a flesh. But then cloudy becomes a little bit, so slightly, I don't know how to say it, tired, or so slightly,
dull.
Dull. It was a slightly, I don't know about dull, but it was a slightly, natia, elinian ha'shena, or ha'menucha, no surface, by Rav Nachman we see pink verkeerd. So we see the goydel inye van de achille van a tzaddik yemes van a mitius onder de hatoiro, dafke for me, dafke his eating a schwere stick would al der rogi by an other rogi a schwere achille lechoira after became dafke when he eaten that dafke is given by him the in van slila datoi, he dafke picked up, and then there was the koyak to be mechaven elamitis adiktukim v'advorim. Amir called over yesh said to you nifla. We'll see by him shechamayim maybe a havona in them gufa, because it's all connected with this whole general idea that dafke when you're taking from something which is near a kilo or managir, dafke from them, you're able to take out the carbon pnimis, other to be moist with it. Well, that's the ganze tachlis of all inyonim and the ganze inyan von Avedas Anishom Lamata v'chulu. Das ist nirgends in dem Sippel. Aber auch upon him, when again linyoneinu, it's not a chiddush, it's not a case that he fainted Rav Nachman, or he didn't have any ability to cloud. It was an inyan von Tosefes. Shlilus Hadar. Omikol, that's exactly what the Rebbe now is moisiv to us. Omikol Mokim, Ein B'Zeish Hadshus HaChayim. There's a need to teach a new Isgalas that wasn't there before. In other words, not a teach he lost his Chayas altogether. He was kilon Cholush Datoi Kitzat, and now there became a Shlila in other words, most of us would wish ourselves that we should be in a Zal even for Das, we Rav Nachman given what he was Chalish. Otherwise we'd have a Das. Das not the God. Das, he had Das from Rav Nachman. Or it wasn't in the Eifen that he wanted. And today, he should do that. He had to come to this Indian of lechem, even though it wasn't lechem, it was basa, of a klolos oisei hamuva. Kemoi came, says the Rebbe, korbanos mamshichim mevchinas oirei seif di deki lo adamu lislavish bevchinas tiyu adam elia. The same way, the korbanos are mamshich, from Lamaila mi asfira, from Lamaila mi seire of Oilama Atzila. It's not the union from Elakus, how he is Kiloi Adam, who not in the union from Tzio Adam. What that means, even Lamaila mi Adam Kabna, I feel Lamaila mi Klolos, in Oilamas. However, he said, Mikol Moki, Am Shocher I Racha Ora Levad, Shebo Bekinas Tzimtzum Bo Adama, Elyon ve'iyam shoches ha'ora ha'shayecho listav. In other words, the shoyrosh hu mokif in them is lamaila me say the histav. Edafar, when it's nimshach, it's murgish bezeh is chachas mesuyemet. Lo itzlila datoy in the Indian was lamata etzelav nachman. But he was beduk mishel maila. That's a new inyan, but it's not a new inyan be'etzem aika. That's a new inyan, but then get to the inyan agiloi. But that's a siman that we, since the yesh percent newness, ein chovish mater esatzim Beis asol, but the etzem inyan from the spheres kemoi shahem in ein behem called toike for ha'ora, then they don't have the power to produce. You got to go back to the mokkeh, as it were, and bring a new amshocha for chayes. If there's a chalisha, then there has to be a new amshocha for the mokkeh. Over the mokkeh is nimsha, but even there, that's only mechadish the yishonim. What was below him there? What that means, that even though you're coming from the mokkeh and you're coming from the maila mi'etzema meduba, you're coming from the maila of the etzema spirit, it's only coming in an even from a ha'ora, which is lefi erat the mekablim, lefi erat the spirit, and therefore it causes in them, since it's coming from the mokkeh, it has in itself a new toikef and a new visoideres, with slila da toy in the moshel, but al chaporim, it's a ha'ora, which got a shayches coming as it does from the mokkeh, but lefi erech and in bo'even shel shayches to the mekabel. And whenever that's the inyan from achil. But as the one on the famous diktuk was there, the different mentions in Gans and Gechalish Rachmonin and Tzlah, you can't feed him food. There's often garnish. You can dish him up they call a roast dinner, but the Gans does them garnish and toh. That's not going to be of any shayches or even kilo ela toelas Beis asma. Avul said the Rebbe, Aktoides hu b'chinas reyah. The inyan from Keteiras, kemuvan a pasha b'Keteiras, inyone is reyah. But we see that the inyan from reyah is meishiv et hanefesh. It brings back the inyan hanefesh. Yeah. Now the diuk is that to it, you can say sometimes also lahoshi v'snafshay in a chilo steer. He was very hungry and I kept that. But the amitis are diuk from lahei shiv as a nefesh means to give you back your nefesh. You have to return the nefesh. What the mashmois from them is a bi'ika ha'inyan to return the nefesh. Therefore, the amitis inyan from meishiv as a nefesh is the inyan of reyah. Shemeishiv es hanefesh shemamshik me'etzem chibur aneshama im haguf v'nimshach oir v'chayis chodon. Now we noticed that tiktuk when we learned in the Shia, whenever it was, I can't remember what week it was and how close it was to Chag HaPesach v'chulu. Upon him in the Zmanim Ayin we learned the tiktuk bezer that there's two inyonim with the union of what we might call the chibur chayis ima nefesh. There's what we call over there the etzem chibur, the etzem yerida of the nefesh that should be eishu derech mishtayech laguf and form a chibur with the etzem in aguf, and then there's a ispashtas of that chibur. But that's what you might call the normal in inverted commas kilo the nefesh in the guf. And the Inyan from Achila only reaches after that Chibur has already taken place. And that's what we must be, that the Inyan of the Achila is li'achri, what you're already functioning, or being that good as gradations and levels of your function. But the function is already there because the etzem Chibur has already taken place. The etzem Ishabras of an Neshama with the Guf has already taken place. The ilu the Inyan from Reach, or the Inyan from Reach is shy to that etzem Ishabras. Pirush she'afilu the nefesh is mistalik mikol kesher with the etzem musi of the gilu and nefesh beguf, but that's the Inyan from Nitzalfus. So yes, nonetheless you can be machaber the whole thing back on the day in Arayah. But that's the famous Nakuda. I think I might have told you guys the story once when I was in. But no, that was another thing. That was through the Kriyas Hashem, not through the Inyan. There was somebody called his name. Once when I was in Miluim, a guy fainted. He didn't have enough water. At Gichalisht, and they didn't know what to do. They were very worried because they were out in the middle of nowhere. But the guy's Chalish, it's not well, if you're taken, that's what's supposed to happen. The guy's Chalish. So one of the guys that was experienced, I don't know, he was one of the corporals, I forget exactly who he was. He walked over to him, he knew him, and he shouted his name in his ear. And our voice, I was Gishrian. Yeah, his name, and he said, ich habe es gesehen mit meinen Augen, was steht in the Siddur. And after when they already got him a little bit up, and they gave him a few drops of water, and gradually, and then they eventually got a jeep to come and take him away. He said, I went over to that, I forget who he was now. I told him the whole thing, I shouldn't answer this. Because even Kriyas Hashem, the Shachas Hashem, he was very impressed by the whole thing. You know, the shmuz, I mean, that was even Kriyas Hashem. Well, but the Inyan from Reach is the same idea. It's basically, it's got a similar Inyan to it. So there we see the etzem chibu aneshama imagu. Now, Ishlema, when I think we spoke in the Shia, but I just said once again, Bekitza Nimrat, Al-Kamash Zachuli, we mentioned this in the Shia, Yamot. And now these gadgets, if we get somebody, they're falling behind, they haven't been put on the computer in the right way for a long time. But unfortunately, there are such gadgets. We brought down over there that the etzem mishabres anishoma imaguf, or also tova nifla. Because the neshama and the guf are two hafochim gemurim ba'even shel yef shel lataya the hofchias from the neshama the guf, and nonetheless the etzem ischaber shelahem said over pili. And if I'm not mistaken, it's in the Mofoshi Shulchan Aruch, in Simon Daled over there, Mamish, where I talk about the bracha from Ashayota, you know, to make this bracha Ashayota. It's the Mogan Avram over there uses an expression that bracha zu and the tachna, the shapeach of etzem, his chaber san neshama etzem chibu and neshama. That's a very similar lashon. The etzem in it, the neshama is able to join up with the guf. In other words, that's a dover amushlal gamrim mitzad the two inyonim haim. Such as they should become one functioning entity. And the neshama should enter a guf and be poiled and enter. First and foremost, you have to be poiled a chibur, that the neshama should join the body and enter him, because and have a kiruv shel shaychus with the guf. And this guf is the whole Inyan from. Oh yeah, the Mogan Aram Zoktas over there after Rosh Mafli Lasei. So we say Maroiva Kol Basai or Mafli Lasei. Oh, so he says, what's the Inyan from Mafli Lasei? He said, Zeh chibur neshama. Oh, that's mafli. This is the extra pillar was called no. And the Rebbe said that can only be mitzad koyach makifi. That's only mitzad Ayin was that's l'mayla mikol medidas vagbolas sheyesh biyacholte lefoyo chadoshes. Oh, yeah, like it's Russian chadoshes ani yoiseh ba'od. It was a story. But that's the Indian for our new oil altogether, and that's what we're going to see as we go along. We come back to that whole wondrous idea we had of Maimonim back of Chodosh. So when the Rebbe here in these Maimonim uses the word Chodosh, he's not talking about things which are relatively, this is a hecher adag of do, he means mamish a new Indian was a kind of Ein kizeh dover mitzad seder oirus v'akelim v'ashtaus or afilo l'mayla mishtaus. Now it's a new Indian mi etzem ha'maitzel. It goes from the Moki ha'rishon, from the Moki ha'amiti, a new Indian all year. The mamela that's a der Indian from Chibu and Nishama Yamagu. Actually, what that happens, then there can be these pastures, then you can have all the other Indian. But there, it's a Chibu, there's some rumors in that Loshan Mafli las. Sehr Schmacke, Akuda, das. Mamela said, the Rebbe, that's Reach. Reach has Bichote, Lifoel Bin in Kazeh. Even if the neshama has gone away, kaviyah altogether, how do they call it? There's a mistalik for the whole mareches, or that Indian from Reyach has got the ability to be megava that kesha. On nimshach uyir v'chayes chodosh, a completely new Indian. Okay, my kain, in other words, a mention naiming. Okay, my kain Indian aktoiras, who shemam shebchinas oirein saved the. In other words, a new Atzilus, an Atzilus pink to see Alicampi. In other words, that the whole Atzilus becomes Yontiv. Es wird a Yontiv dik Atzilus, and the spheres are no longer just Esa spheres, the Esa spheres are they are in Arin. In other words, they're all Klulim or Beteilim in the Indian from the Ayin Say. Ulai yesh lema gamke b'derech efshel, b'derech possibility. We can say that it's all hashgacha pratiyos. Do we happen to be learning that mamish korev l'chag hashavuos? It's only shvuayim. I say only. Shvuayim's a long time. Funny. It's shvuayim. Mea erev to the Indian gilu chag hashavuos. It's written that there's several types of inyonim in the Indianized colorless of the spirit. The nigram alidei spheres oima, alidei rabbeinu from spheres oima. What they got to do is, and the ultimate, what you might call, his colorless, like El Terabim, Vayan Kuteter, in a couple of places, is the Indian from Beetle Mukhlat. They become just like a kli shebehem. Is miskala the Indian from Ayin Safe Mamish, and they all become manitvia like a kisei COVID to the etzem miskalas of the etzem amaitzel mamish, because they become so bottled ba'oirei lifnei. And that's the Indian of the bittul alidei the tzviras ha'ima, and it's even that ain't behem loy reish v'loy sefer loy milas there or sheinin or kulam kilo beteilim or v'tolim. Other have a kulam roim, which are called shleimusim or rak me'azulas. What do you tell me there? I feel enough for them. The call in Yonam is only just to be a kisei, a kli to the scholars of Atzmas Mamish, Atzmas say. And that's the Indian from Gilui Sharach Hamishim be it. Protim for the Sharach Hamishim. But also the Gilui the Sharach Hamishim be Atzmai. It came over a barichas in Lakuteter. That's what the Rebbe means here. That meat is in here from Ketoidas. And that's what we're going to see, that Shayat Taki on Yom Kippur, there's going to be a new Indian, or Oid Indian, the Kohen Gadol went in on the era of Yom Kippur, we had to prepare a special type of Ketoidas. That should be Dakum in a Dakum, with the whole reason. Yom Kippur, something Kiloi. It's an Ichayach Klau, B'shum Zman, B'shum Mokim. You know that these guys are this Yom Kippurim, Yesh Lema, that's a kavanah, that everything becomes bottled. I mean, even the Esses Firas Kol in Yonam is only to be how do you call it, Ma'avir Bilvad, to his guys from Atzmas Alay. That's what the Indian from Reach in the Gilui, out is Lamaila, was the Indian. יש לומר, הרמז at the klolus Aveda, how it is be Yom Maki al Yoinim, and it's well known that Chag HaShavuos, and the Inif and Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, v'chule omna a shaykhs zwischen sich. Like all the Chagim have a shaykhs. Yeah, one with the other, and Snirmus in the Maimah Chazal, in the Sekta Megillah, that Rosh Hashanah, that Shavuos, Atzeres Nami Rosh Hashanah. Atzeres is also a Rosh. With the ganze Adi. So Hine is that I will just learn a few lines to help us be masik that in a little bit more. Hine Adayin Tzodik Lahovin Mashin is Bu'aliyah Perik Yud Gimel Perik Reish Yud Gimel, I'm sorry. The Korbanos Nikroim Lechem, like we saw just now in the in what you might call the Sikum Advarim. Shazo am shoches oer pnimi levod. In other words, that even though it goes into the loyodamud, it goes also into the lamaylamir pnimi, but it's mamshich oya haora, but it becomes shy to the inif and pnimi. Ukteires ubchinas reach shemamshich oya makif. That was the maskana that we reached, and then we discussed the whole inyan and aveda, the din makif, so kosote. Ja, die ene van de Maila Mitabata's, die ene van de Mesilas Nefesh. De Haloiser, daar hebben we Korbanis Ksiv, Reachne, Goyach Lahav, Hayeh. I mean, so, from the pussy we opened the Maimah with, we can't run away from the fact that Reach and the Goyach was somehow or another connected with a Korban. I mean, Nochel Amaises was a Korban, and on that mitzad that korban, Ketaitzorah, there was a senior from Reach Nachoy. So we see that actually here, the korban is somehow or another a megalo or a behemshach lahem ayin from Reach. Yeah, they bring to, and they're megalo also ayin from Reach. Yeah, harei hakorban is saying gam came b'chinas Reach. Ve'im came mahu ha'hefresh bein hakorbanis ve'ah. So was it enough community from them Beis them? In other words, that's Ayin from Reach, and that's also Ayin from Reach. So Afupi was Shesh Lachalik Miyad, that's Kiru Reach, which comes also a Kiru, and he's cautious with the Ayin from Achila, which is Lechem. Mashenkin the Ayin from Keteris Kolinyona is Manitvi Reach. Remember, Laish Lomas, that's Ayin from Maki for a Maki view to Koravel Opinimi. That's Ayin from a Maki for Miti, about Kaponim. Charlie Lahagdirate, Lahavinate, be Proteus, or by Birainonim, what's the Hefresh from that Maki, that Reach, as compared to the other Reach, which is Reach Be'etzem, Reach HaKoban. The Me'ach is Shneihem Ha'im B'chinas Reach, Im Kain Ma'u Ha'efresh Bein Hayeh. Olahavin Zeh, Yesh Lahaktim Tchilo, the klolus inyan HaReach, Hu Ma Shebo Alidei Biruri Anitzutzeis Tatoyu. Shalom Aleichem. And the Rebbe says that the whole inyan from Reach comes be emes. Here when he says Reach, he means, the what you might call the immediate music, the Torah Semes, from Reach. He said comes from our Inyan from Biru and Netzoitzois to Torah. Biru of Netzoitzois to Torah.
Which toe?
Huh?
Which toe?
Netzoitzois?
Which toe?
Huh?
Which toe?
What's he saying?
Which? I don't know. Which toe?
Netzoitzois to Torah.
Toe, yeah. Which toe?
Torah means Olam HaTorah. Olam HaTorah, the Shalomayla Mi'atzilas, and the Nefilas and the Tzutzis from Olam Noflo, Torah Lamata. And they became the Inuf and the Mchitiklippus Neigem, it's at the Nefila and the Netzutz.
Like it's in Netanya.
Huh?
What says in Netanya? What says in Netanya?
What's it got to do with, eh?
Like it says also in the Tanya. In Sefer Tanya, it's also...
yeah, בתניא גם מוזכר מזה, נכון, מוזכר בזה בכל החסידות, אבל גם בתניא מוזכר, אמנם שהאלתר רבי לא מעריך בו אלא מתאו בתניא, אבל הוא מזכיר את זה, נכון. אמר מראה, what is the nekuda abiru nitzoitzes tetoyu? What's it as far losh? So let's just read a line or two further and we'll see what's it the nekuda pnimi with it. Li yesh yodua, the reach shorsho mibchinas hagvuris davke. The reach it shows it davke in the inifan sharp, how do you call it, sharp things in gvuris davke. What's it the raya? The harei kol reach umidova achozak davke. Davke is something that's got a strong reaction in itself. It's got a strong, what you might call, pula betoich atzmei. Yeah, how do you call it? A powerful thing is within it and building up inside it. Well, that's what gives off a smell. The davar habilti chozak lo yiyeh mimeno reach ki im midova hachozak v'chori. A pillar. He said from a shvach hazach, if a dover cholush geht nicht ka reach, davke von a dover chozok. Yeah, and chorif, davke von dem geht reach. So you can tiny, you got these beautiful little flowers, the schwache little flowers left, and they give off beautiful reach. And what do you mean? What was it a type? So he doesn't mean chozak in the sense of something which is physically powerful. He means that there's happening what you might call a reaction or a interreaction of inyonim, what that requires and has in itself a inyan for koyach, for toike. But that tends to indicate that reach is given off when there's one inyan being misgaber over adover kilo anoigit loy, like we're still going to get to Avraham Avinu. In other words, the whole greatness of Avraham Avinu is that he was kolim meichayav. He was kilo oimed benigud lekama v'kama koiches that were kilo menaged elo. That's what we see in every shlav wherever Avraham Avinu went. First we had Nimrod, and then he had all the Indian and all Kazdim and the ganze. Then he came in Derek Souls and there's a famine. Then he goes down to Mitzrayim as a Maisa Mitzrayim. And then he comes back as a Vaita Maisa with the Abba Malachim, Matum is this almost this Koyach Hanigu. So Yesh Lom, a botanist, the Pinchka, if I say this in a lot of Inyanim. When you see that beautiful little part of a flower, there's a lot of chemical reactions going on over there, which are bederach, because it takes a while for that to occur. It doesn't just all of a sudden the flower gives off a react. First of all, it's a bud, and then something else, and then noch in Inyanim. And there's a whole hemshech of Inyanim. There's Inyanim which are mishtalvim, zeh one is kilo bederach ha-nitzuach, ha-iskabris, ha-shleimes, alanada, and then you get the inyan a reach. Then there's a inyan chain reach, yofi, a reichos. And that's what we see.
There's a lot of flowers that you have to squeeze them.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. And there's certain things that when you frictionize them, then they give off a very strong reach v'chura. Yeah, but what I'm trying to suggest is that mamish, even inside those little things that give off a smell without you actually touching them, there's some reaction that's happening there in the form of a shleimus of one after there's been like another koyach which has worked against it. Okay, that's what the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, Perek Ayin, that's what his maram is. The Alter Rebbe, that there's two forms of what he says, two forms of Hainu, and the Rebbe is going to come to that very shortly, and he's going to say that all these inyanim are connected with Dini van Oineg. And there's a oinig which comes mitzad etzem gilu oinig shebenefesh, and there are things which are niklo in that oinig, and then there's also an oinig what kol inyone comes from dafki from vodim which are menaktim, dafki inyonim which are hochim leneged. Amamiru k'maya tavlin, metavlin bohem ha'macholim shekulam eim dvorim chalifim, umehem bo horayach. In other words, that when you put a tavlin, a meaty, into a thing like boso or nachazach inyonim, that it fights against the gevulis of the boso, and dafki alidea is gabrus of those gevulis, it causes a very beautiful smell. Or if you cook the boso believe that there's also a certain reich, but it's not a reich of meishiv as an effort. The reich which is meishiv as an effort is dafki when there's a gabrus of the gevulis of the boso. The reich kilu is nilcham with the gevulis of boso, and you want to. Yeah. Says the Rebbe, that's a di'inyan, when you're mavara, anitzit for the yoyres takifim of toihu, well then you get a reya. Demonstrate shaykh Ayin show reya. Good. Okay, so we'll hold there for this evening. And the Rebbe zal helpen that we have enough vinyanim from reya to come from dvorim chalifim. Jetzt davon haben Azamin Harikot Reach, which will be mitzat the Gilim Milmaila Lamata, the whole yesh of the Olam, and the whole Inif and Klolis Inyan Amachias and Klolis Inyan Olamas will become a kilo bottle and niklo in that kilo of a middle demonstration array. Of this is an array of Kloli Vachmi. They'll have both miles. They'll have the mile and Einig be'etzem Milmaila Lamata, and they'll have the Inif and Biro Ayesh and the final traces of the Yesh v'chulu. If Amila the time Gora a Gehoibana and Peladika Reya was come away and come up psukim in Shir Shirim, what Rashi brings right at the beginning of Shir Shirim. That's in him was as Gilu Pnimis Atera Bisman Melech HaMashiach. Melech Omein Kain Yehi Rotzen. And take from Yad Mamish, like the Rebbe says, Mamish. Amen, Kenya wrote.
One mice or something from the...
Yeah?
One mice from the trip.
One mice from the trip. Okay, Moisha, you're going to run into trouble if I could tell the mice. No. You might have to wait till after tomorrow.
No, 2 mice.
Oh, you want 2 mice?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to get 2. You're only going to get 1. There's a pillar. It's a second Shabbos I was in Perth. I went over to, there's a shliach over there, he's got a Beit Chabad in an outer suburb of Perth, and I went over there to spend Shabbos. And so there was a Yid, believe Kalaprotim, sometimes Yidden that they come on business into Perth in the latter part of the week, and it's very far out of the way, you can't fly back again to this. So they look for somewhere to be, or if they're in Shomer Shabbos and Shomer Tur, they look for a place where to be for Shabbos. So picked this Yonas Ayid, and I could see that he was not a born American, even though he was from America and he was a businessman, and he was connected with a certain type of business, which is very interesting, but I can't go into all that. He was waiting outside the house, and he said to the shliach, he's come from the middle of the city and he's here on business and he wants somewhere to be for Shabbat. So the shliach said, eating you can eat by me and I'll get you a place where the sleeper wanted the Balabatim. I got plenty of room in the house, I got big houses and like that. We'll find you somewhere. The sleeper came, I was taken by his accent. I could see he's not a born American. But sitting at the whole table, all the different guests that there were, I said, "Oh, Martin, what's that accent? Where are you really from? Where's your tuta?" Anyway, the next day, by the kid, they have these sort of small kiddushim where people sort of move around. Everybody sits around a table. And my friend, everybody takes a little bit and they walk around and talk in groups. That's the kid. So I come up and downstairs and I found some wine, which was tremendously strong wine. It could knock a man for a sixer. And I made kiddush, thing. So I walk over and somehow I got into conversation with this kid. And all of a sudden, he said something, and I said, listen, you're not from America, that's not American. He said, no. He said, me? He said, I'm from Georgia, some plaque in Russia, some big area in Russia. That's what. But no, I understand. I could see that it was a very special accent. It wasn't an American accent. He said, I'm from there, not there. Pink, the zweite Yidder is one of the Balabatim in this Beis Chabad. He comes walking over, and he's a tall man, a very nice-looking person, very kind-looking face. And he says, you're from Paris, what? He said, I'm also from the same area. I didn't even know he was Russian. So all of a sudden, I said, L'chaim, guys, we have to bring Mashiach or something. Get out of it. So this guy, he's a businessman from America. He says that he lives in an area where it's all Strimals, it's all either Polish or Litay. That's the area we live. He's lived there for years. He says one Chabadnik has come to live there now, and he writes articles about Chabad. He's a Chabadnik, but he's like a long sort of Chabadnik. I think I know who the guy is, but it's Nagel Bereg there. Apart from that, there's no Chabad, he doesn't know anything about, particularly about Chabad in recent years and the whole thing. So all of a sudden I said, no, did you ever go to Kram? Did you ever see the Rebbe? Were you ever buy for bring? He said, I went this time and this. I can't even remember what date it was exactly that he said. And then he said, I saw the Rebbe. I saw it. I said, very good. So the next thing is, he said L'chaim, L'chaim. Een starke masje. Mamish eight. Good. Yeah. And so also he looks all around and he says, I saw the Rebbe, he said, Yachi Melech HaMoshiach. That's Mamish, I almost told that guy. But he said, well, there's our Toikev. I saw the Rebbe, and I said, look around and see if anybody was listening. It's very naughtily, very mischievously. He said, Yachi HaMelech HaMoshiach. I was really taken aback. He said, I saw the Rebbe, and he said, the Chassidim, they say, that's what it is. He said, that's what it is. I said, what do you say to that? I mean, he lives way out in the middle of nowhere amongst all these people. They're not Chassidim at all. He saw the Rebbe and he came to that conclusion that the Chassidim would say that are right. And he said, so this other guy, this other Russian fellow, he's willing. He said, he was sort of very pleased with the whole thing. So they take another L'chaim, these guys. They have another L'chaim. And all of a sudden I said to him, there's a song, maybe you guys know it. I don't really know it. And I started singing, Yet, Nico. Here we are standing in this little corner with the three of us. So all of a sudden he starts saying, Nico. So they had a guy call it because he understood. And the three of us started jumping up and down. They were holding one another. We started jumping up and down on the spot. And we were singing, Nico, in the middle of the all these people, the kids, right? And sort of gaping at what's these guys, what is happening? And we started jumping up and down, but Toikev, they sang it in Russian, commercial story. And they were so pleased and they were so happy. And he was a very posh-looking businessman he'd been before, He took a couple of little times. First of all, you hear Melech HaMashiach, and second, so you wanted a mice, you got it. In the middle of Perth, in the middle of a shul, they're very careful what they say, very, very careful. They don't say anything about Mashiach too much, unfortunately. Not about the Rebbe. He looks around. I didn't say a word. It wasn't my fault. Good. All right, guys. So the mascot is Those are the mascot. Okay. Good.
מה עם אבא? משהו דואג לי, משהו... הוא גם יצטרך את הטלפון שלו, נתקשר אליו?
Yeah, he's the other side of the president.
It's good to have these books.
I don't know what he teaches. I know he's a big Russian rabbi.
Oh, that's good. How are you? You're part of the new troops?
No, he's here for a long time. He's here longer than me.
Uh-huh.
He's been here before me.
This guy's the new guy.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
How's the program?
Doing good?
Where are you from?
Muncie?
Muncie. I'm from Bruma. Nice to meet you. Leah from Ziz. Bring the chef.
What time is Marty?
Right now.
9:30? 9:30? come to my room, drop it off. If you have to, let me talk to you. I'm going. Just think